Hello viewers, my name is Dr. Rajul Dutt. Today I am in this video of marketing management. I am going to deal with yet another P of marketing mix, that is place, popularly known as distribution channels. The subtopic to be covered in this segment is about the concept of distribution channels in marketing, followed by two successive videos to be covered under this section. So, what do we mean by this distribution channels? Distribution of the products constitutes an important element of marketing mix of a firm, of a business organization. After the development of the product, the marketing manager has to decide the channels, the routes through which the product will flow from the company to the potential customer. That is with the flow of the distribution of the product. So how to reach to the consumers, in what way, different ways to reach the consumers. One is through this being sold, the another is the logistics. I'll be covering all these two topics in the subsequent videos. Most producers, manufacturers use intermediaries to bring their products to market. The intermediaries are like the people who help in the transfer of the goods, for example, the wholesalers, retailers, agents, and so forth. They try to develop a distribution channel or a marketing channel to do this. A distribution channel is a set of interdependent organizations that help make product available for the use of consumption by the consumer. The channel intermediaries are firms or individuals such as wholesalers, agents, brokers, retailers who help move a product from the producer to the consumer or a business consumer. Now, business consumer is, and in case of when we are talking about industrial products. So the products we have discussed in the earlier topics that the product again can be divided into two broad categories, that is the consumer products and the industrial products. And therefore here also we have got a different channel to discuss about whether we are reaching to the consumers or the industrial users. The term channel of distribution thus means a route or a pathway taken by products as they flow from the point of production to the point of ultimate consumption. So, according to Stenton, the definition says a distribution channel consists of the set of the people and firms involved in the transfer of title to a product as the product moves from producer to ultimate consumer or a business user. Transfer of the title here means then when the manufacturer transfer the goods to the product or sell its products to the wholesaler. That means in the other way, the wholesalers buys the products from the manufacturer, and therefore this there is a transfer of title. Transfer of title is now the product belongs to the wholesalers. Then the wholesalers, the retailers, they buy the products, their requirement from the wholesalers, and consumers, they buy their requirement from the retailers. So there is a transfer of title to the product so as to reach to the ultimate user or for the ultimate consumption. So to reach these the types of channels of distribution. Now, in order to reach to the consumer, they have all the channels therefore are being classified into two broad categories, as we see from the it is very clear from the slide here that all the channels have been broadly classified into two categories. One is the direct channel, that is when the product moves from the manufacturer directly to the customer. And the second is the indirect channel, where there are a number of intermediaries who help in the transfer of the product from the place of manufacture to the place of consumption. So marketing channels vary considerably for different types of consumers and industrial goods. For any business or a manufacturing organization has a number of alternative channels available for distributing its products. Some channels are short and directly linked producers with the customers, whereas other channels are long and indirectly link the two through one or more middlemen. Now, the wholesalers, retailers, the agents, they again they are very often being termed as a middleman. They are termed as intermediaries. They are one and the same thing. For a discussion, I'll be taking, interchangeably using the word intermediaries and the middlemen. So these channels of distributions are, as I said, are being broadly classified into two categories. The one is the direct channel, that is from manufacturer to the customer. So this is the simplest and the shortest channel in which no middleman is involved, and producers directly sell their products to the consumers. It is fast and economical channel of distribution. Under this, manufacturer performs all marketing activities and has full control over distribution. All marketing activities is, so for example, advertising or making the movement of the products and estimating the demand. So if all these are being done by the manufacturer. A producer may sell directly to consumers through maybe, as I've said, to door-to-door sales or from the direct mail and so forth. There are basically five main channels through which the manufacturer they reaches to the consumer. They may take one, they may take two options, or they make a combination thereof so as to reach the consumer in the most fastest and the economical way. So this direct channel, let me focus on as to what is exactly this direct channel or for the distribution aspect. Usually, a product will pass through a certain number of hands before it gets to the consumer. If it passes directly from producer's hand to the consumer's hand, then that is a direct distribution channel. If the product needs to pass through several intermediaries before it gets to the consumer hands, then that channel is an indirect channel of distribution. This is I have made evident from if you look upon from the slide one can make out. Hence, there is a lot of variations and different distribution channels. These are direct and indirect distribution channels. Generally, direct channels have the shortest distance and are the simplest distribution channels. Since the internet, a lot of things have been made easier. The direct channels of the distribution have become much more common in business today. And we see there is a change when we talk about the direct selling or the reaching to the customers directly. The internet and the online marketing, online selling is becoming popular and popular in India. Since the internet, a lot of things have been made easier. The direct channels of distribution have become much more common in business. The one thing one needs to understand that method as a direct distribution channel is that you are dealing directly with the producer and manufacturer and no middlemen are involved. So for this, there is a door-to-door sales. Now, door-to-door sales is when the company employs salesmen and they carry the product and they reach to the consumer on. We have been using, these door-to-door selling as again a very age-old method of selling goods or for distributing goods from the point of manufacturer. They are generally the employees of the organization and they carry the product and they sell it from door to door. The customer does not reaches to the manufacturer or the retailer for that matter, and the salesman takes the product and explains about the product, tells about the product and sell the product. This is what we mean by the door-to-door sales. Another is the opening sales counter at the manufacturing plant. And most of the cases we have seen here, for example, in Amul or products, or in case of even the ready-made garments. And so where there is a manufacturing plant, they open their outlet outside the manufacturing plant, and this is what we call that opening sales counter in the manufacturing plant, so that the people, they reaches to the center and they buy the product from the counter. This is again one way of reaching the customers directly. Now, the another method is sales by mail order method. Now, this mail order method is this is again one of the most oldest distribution channel, but it is still relevant today as many companies use both couriers and also the post office's help or services to ship their products directly to the consumers. The customers place their orders traditionally via mail, fax, or by phone, and the manufacturer then delivers the product via the courier, maybe on the payment, say on delivery, the payment methods are being made or adjusted and or being decided upon by the customer or by the manufacturer. Sorry, whether it is on the delivery payment or you have to make the payment earlier. So this is again, and this is still prevailing. This method is again still prevailing in many cases. Now, this is another method is the direct online selling. Now, this method has come up in India and it is a very growing segment of distribution of distributing or selling to the products directly to the customers. In this method, because of the power of internet, is that you can directly market to many consumers without leaving your office or open a retail store. For this online selling, you don't require an office or a retail outlet. It is the simply what we do is, or what the marketers do is, they advertise online either via their own website, Google Ads, social media, and so and so forth. The customer can then place your order on the website and you can send the product via post or courier or by your own vehicle as well. So this the customers, they reaches on the website, they select the product, and if they like it, they place the order there online, and then again through with the help of, again I said, the mail order or through the courier services, the product is being transferred to the customer and the payment is made. Again, there is payment on delivery, or payment is a prior payment, or the advance payment is being made through online services. Another important of the direct channel is the telemarketing sales. In this, the manufacturer will advertise their product on television and newspapers, getting into the details of the features of the products, its price, features, benefits, uses, availability. The interested customers can place the orders via fax, telephone, and the product is delivered by courier. So these are the prominent channels through which if the manufacturer intends to reach to the customers directly, so have got many options. As I said, this is not one or two, there may be a combination, and most of the manufacturers who intends to reach to the customers directly, they may use, or they use one or two or three or all of the options to reach to the customers. Now, the second category is the indirect channel. Now, as I said, indirect channel is where the manufacturer does not sell the product to the directly to the consumer, and maybe because of the due to the geographical dispersion of the consumers, maybe because of it is very difficult to cater to the requirement of the customers at one time, and therefore the company has to decide upon as to how to reach to the consumer in the indirect way, that is by taking the help of the middlemen, and middlemen or the intermediaries are being, or the categories of the people who help, the organizations who help in the transfer of the product from the place of manufacture to the place of consumption, and these are being called as wholesalers, retailers, agents, and etc. So these categories, now the indirect channel have been divided into three major categories, that is one tier indirect channel, two tier indirect channel, and the third is the three tier indirect channel. So what do we mean by when we say it's an indirect channel? One tier is producers, retailers, and customers. This channel of distribution involves only one middleman called retailer. Under this, the producer sells to big retailers who in turn sell to the ultimate consumers. This channel relieves the manufacturer from the burden of selling the goods itself and at the same time gives him the control over the process of distribution. This is often suited for distribution of the consumer durables and products of high value. The second method is here when the organization or the business organization or the marketing manager goes decides upon a two-tier indirect channel, where in the slide it is mentioned that it is from the manufacturer to the wholesalers, then to the retailers, and then to the ultimate consumers for consumption. The wholesalers and retailers are two types of intermediaries in this channel. A manufacturer channel its products through consumers. Channel its products to consumers through these intermediaries. Wholesalers are being used here because they have more finance and knowledge about the markets generally. So the wholesalers, in a particular region, there is a wholesaler which has got the overall say overall information about about the disbursement of the consumers, the nature and the behavior of the consumers, the economical aspects of the consumers. The places are known, and therefore it becomes easy for manufacturer to sell it at one wholesaler in the area or in the region or in a state for that matter. And these wholesalers, then the retailers, they know the retailers, and through the various retailers at various places, the product is being dispersed so that more and more consumers can be tapped at the same time. And similarly, there is a three-tier indirect channel, that is manufacturer, agent, wholesaler, retailer, and consumer. Now, again, there is a possibility that manufacturer in, say, one place, for example, if we talk about, say, in Madras, and they wants to sell the product, for example, in Uttarakhand. So there, these two, the wholesaler and manufacturer, might not be knowing each other, where the agent now plays a very important role in bringing the manufacturer and the wholesaler together, because if the agent, this organization or an individual as an agent, knows about the manufacturer, knows about the region or the wholesaler, and he brings and charges the commission to it. Now this is one way of introducing is this: wholesalers, retailers, agents, they charge the commission, and this is their work is trading in nature. They do not manufacture, they do not have any role to play, but they transfer the goods from one point to another point, and they charge commission on this. And similarly, the agent also helps in locating the wholesalers and helps the manufacturer in locating the wholesalers and the retailers chain, so that the product is being distributed at one time easily. Now, coming next is the factors affecting the choice of channels. Now, when we have got so many options, now we will study now as to what are those the factors which affects or which helps or which makes us understand the various pros and cons of each channel, and to decide upon as to how conveniently, economically, fastest the manufacturer can reach to the customers. This is one way. Another way is because these distribution channels is one of the P of the marketing mix, and therefore it is one has to take in the other P's into consideration, that is the product, promotions, and the price aspects also. So it does not individually this channel, it has got its impact on other three major P's. So distribution channels are an important part of marketing mix of any of a business firm, and thus the selection of an appropriate channel is important, because other components of marketing mix such as product, price, and promotion are interrelated and interdependent. Distribution channels therefore are an important part of marketing mix of any business organization, and thus the selection of appropriate distribution channel is very important. because several elements of the marketing mix like price and promotion are closely interrelated and interdependent on the distribution channels. Very important to note here is if a wrong choice of distribution channel is made, it will lead to increase in the distribution cost, which will lead either lowering down of the profits or increasing cost of the product for the consumers. Increasing cost of the product means increase in price. It will have a direct impact on the price of the product. It is therefore appropriate channels can help the manufacturer to sell products in predetermined quantities at right time. Hence, management of any organization should carefully consider the following characters. Now, the characters are the market, say, terms have been broadly classified into four major considerations a marketing manager has to or should take. Are the market considerations, the product considerations, the company considerations, and the middleman considerations before selecting any of the channel or the combination of the channel thereof for distributing the products. So when we talk about market considerations, what are the market considerations? The nature of market is the key factor influencing the choice of the market should be analyzed to determine the channel. So there are various points to be covered under this is that the one is the consumer or the industrial market. So as I already said, it is to decide upon to whether we are looking out for a consumer product or an industrial market, and therefore on the basis of the nature of the product, the distribution channel ought to be selected. So, under this consumer industrial market, I said, if the product is intended for industrial market or the industrial users, the channel of distribution will be short. One, since industrial users and buyers buys the products in the large quantities. But in case of product meant for consumers, the retailers may have to be included in the channels of distribution because of the diversity of the consumers or the disbursement of the consumers at one place. So for industrial market, one knows as to which company to cater, whereas in the consumer it is very difficult to estimate as to when the consumer will come or where the consumer is actually located. Second is the number of the potential customers. A large potential market is likely to put weight in favor of the use of middlemen. If the number of customers is relatively small, the manufacturer may be able to sell directly by using his own sales force. So again, the point comes as door-to-door selling. If the product nature is of such where one has to cater to the low requirement of the as far as selling is concerned, and therefore the direct selling may be taken as an option. But if the consumers are large in number for a consumer durable product, for example, then one has to take the help. I have to go for the retailers or have to make use of the middlemen to reach to the varied types of customers. Another important aspect is the size of the order. Direct selling is convenient and economical where customers place orders in big lots. In case of industrial products, the requirement is in bulk usually, but where the product is sold in small quantities, middlemen are used to distribute such products. For example, a manufacturer of food products may sell directly to big retail stores and may use wholesalers to sell to small retailers. Another important aspect for in market consideration when we talk about market, that is the buying habits of the customers. The customer buying habits like desire for credit, preference for one-stop shopping significantly affect the choice of the distribution channels. Products can be used, for example, cigarettes are purchased in ones and twos and rarely in packets. Now, this calls for the need of various retail outlets. So, this is so depending upon the buying habit. I have taken an example. So, this should give an indication as to how to understand that when the buying is less and the people they buy less, and therefore the more of the retail outlets ought to be decided upon by the marketing manager. Another important aspect in marketing considerations are the geographical consideration of the market. Now, what does it implies is that where the prospective customers are located in a particular geographical region, direct selling is more feasible, but use of wholesalers and retailers may become essential to sell the product to widely dispersed consumers. So this is again one important aspect being taken out as far as the geographical consideration of the, if one is not able to reach, so other options are being used to reach to the consumers if the product is of say geographically or distance wise is longer. Now, the second is in this connection is the what we call it as the product considerations. Now, when we talk about the product considerations, the type and the nature of the product influences the number of and the types, therefore, of middlemen to be chosen for distributing the product. The important factors with regards to the products are: number one is unit value. Now, if the unit value of the product is lower and turnover is higher, the channels of distributions will be longer. For example, I take an example such as for example, the products like cosmetics, products like stationery, small accessory equipment. These are distributed generally through agents, wholesalers, and retailers. The product of, for example, high value like jewelry, industrial machines are sold directly to the customers. Another aspect in the product consideration is the product line. A manufacturer manufacturing several products in the same line will directly sell or through retailers since it is economical. All the products, in the same product line, becomes very economical to reach through the retailers. But a manufacturer with only one item may have to use the wholesaler and retailers to sell his products to the customers. The another aspect is the standardized product. Standardized products can be distributed through longer channels because their brand names are popular and the product is standardized. Not much changes are there, not much explanations are required there, and therefore the longer channels can be used to reach to the consumers. But the custom made say products or unstandardized products can more easily be sold directly by the producers to the users. Now, a standardized product means where the product can be altered, or the product, the customers, they make their own requirements or they suggest their own requirements for the changes to be made in the product, and therefore it cannot be the wholesalers and the retailers or the help of the middlemen is not it's not likely to be given to be focused on or to be emphasized upon, and therefore direct marketing or direct selling is required. So closely related with this is another topic, that is the technical nature of the product. Now, industrial products which are highly technical, like air conditioners, supercomputers, maybe be taken for example the smartphones, are often distributed directly to the industrial users. But the consumer products of technical nature are generally sold direct through the retailers. Perishability. Now, what is perishability? Perishability is if the product is not able to sustain for a longer time. The nature of the product is such that it perishes. Perishes is cannot sustain, maybe due to weather, maybe due to other conditions. There is a possibility that the product may become, say, it's not suitable, suitable to use for in a longer time. So therefore, the channel of distribution are short in case of products subject to the physical decay or, for example, fashion. The Producers of the perishable items generally sell directly or sell through middlemen who have special storage facilities for this for the perishable items. Now again, there is a one ought to have for example refrigerators, so that the product can be used for or can be put up into the stores for a longer period before it again be finally bought by the consumers. So the third important consideration a marketing manager should take into aspect of this aspect into consideration is the company considerations. The nature and the size of business firms have an important impact on the selection of channels of distribution. The following I have categorized, in the distribution, and in these considerations are: number one is the volume of production. A big manufacturer may find it profitable to sell directly to customers through his sales force if he is manufacturing a wide range of products. He may sell his products by opening retail outlets, but small manufacturers with a small number of items cannot afford to sell directly, meaning thereby, opening their own retail outlets. Again, a big investment is required in terms of the ambience of the retail outlet, in the number of the outlets in a particular city or in a particular place, and then to have the people working in the retail outlets at various designations, at various posts, on various types of work. So this is again being called for. So the small manufacturers whose financial conditions are not big, they are not able to put up their own retail outlets, and therefore the small company has to decide or depend upon the intermediaries to sell their products to the people or to reach to the ultimate consumers in the economical way. Second, closely related, again, this part comes into the financial resources of the organization. The financially strong company can distribute products by employing its own sales force and opening their own retail outlets. On the other hand, the financially weak company will have to use the middlemen to sell their products. So the volume of the production and the financial resources of the organization, though the concept is different, but they come to the same point as to the on the financial aspect of the or the financial strongness or the weakness of the organization. The on this basis, on these considerations, the nature of the channel is to be decided by the organization. Another is the experience and competence of management. Now, this is again plays an important role, as in the case of door-to-door sales. Salesman plays a very important role for the organization and is being considered as the ambassador for the organization. So, company's management is having if having a sufficient experience and expertise to market its products, preference should be given to distribute products directly. However, companies lacking on this aspect have to rely on the middlemen. So if the organization, they do not have the expertise in a particular area, in the particular, for example, if we talk about say competition aspect or the technical aspect of the product, so in order to move the product, in order to make the product move easily, the companies, they take the help of middlemen, where the wholesalers and retailers, they understand the pulse of the consumers, the pulse of the market, and they suggest accordingly, and suggest accordingly, for example, say product modifications, improvement in the product, improvement in the market. So these people, they give suggestions. Another consideration of the for these channel of distribution is the services provided by the channels. The choice of a channel of distribution is also influenced by the services provided by the manufacturers. For example, some manufacturers of technical products undertake to provide after sales services. Now, this is again plays an important role, where you sell a technical product and then you are sure about the of the after sale services. The customers then become more positive in buying the product, because the technical products ought to be are subject to be rather of some kind of difficulties, of some kind of disimprovement in the products, and therefore the after sale services plays a very important role. And these services are being provided by the retailers and by the wholesalers, not by the company, because it is very difficult for the customers to go to the company or to relate to the company, because maybe one aspect is distance. So if the retailers, they have got their own service stations, for example, it becomes very easy to sell the technical products to the consumers, and the consumers, they feel safe while buying the products from the retail outlets. Now, desire for control of channels. Uh, a manufacturer who wants to control the distribution of his products will select a short channel, because the control in the short channel, for example, selling directly, has got full control over the activities of activities in the market, and therefore a short channel of distribution is suggested in order to go to aggressive promotion, incurring higher distribution cost. And if you go for a longer one, so aggressive promotions of the product, you require a higher cost of distribution, because the number of the intermediaries involved, they ought to charge, and this the charge as in terms of the commission, and this again adds to the cost area. And the last consideration here is the middleman consideration. Certain factors related to the middlemen which influence the channel selection, which have taken as number one is the availability of the desired middlemen. Now, a manufacturer will rely on middlemen if they operate according to his desires or the manufacturer's desires. The marketer may not entrust product to the middleman who is carrying competitive products. So, whether the right kind of middlemen are available, because these middlemen, they do not take the, or do not, they are not associated with one organization. Practically, all these wholesalers and the retailers, they keep the products of the other manufacturers, including the competitors' product, in the same outlet. So therefore, again, as I've mentioned earlier, because these middlemen, they work on the commission. So the organization or the companies which give more commission to on the sales to these wholesalers, retailers, generally they promote the product of those organizations. Maybe the product is good or bad, not that is a debatable issue in this aspect. Second is the financial ability. A large manufacturer will generally select those middlemen who are financially strong and can provide credit facilities to the customers. So again, these middlemen also play, as a financial institution, they give advance to the organizations and they buy the product before even the product has been manufactured. So again, this they becomes, as a financial institution for the organizations, and therefore it becomes also, and therefore, the retailers also, they give advance to the wholesalers, and the customers, they give advance to the retailers. So this chain again goes backwards, and this is, the financial ability of the wholesalers and the retailers again supports the organization in certain ways. Attitude of the middlemen. Sometimes middlemen are not prepared to carry manufacturer's product because of non-acceptabilities of the marketing policies. Now, again, these middlemen, as I said, they basically, their nature is their business nature is of trading. Now, trading again is based on the commission aspect. So if the commission or the benefits of are not appropriate in terms of the market aspects, so these middlemen, they do not generally buy the product from the wholesaler, for example. They do not buy the product from the manufacturer, because they can get, they have to move the product. They will take the product, or they will accept the product from the other manufacturers who are giving them more benefits and more in terms of financial aspects or the financial benefits. And another is the sales potential. A manufacturer will generally select a channel offering the greatest potential sales volume over a long run. However, it is very difficult to assess. We know it's very difficult to assess which channel will generate the largest sales volume. So again, various options have been taken into consideration. It is not just one option which gives the maximum benefit to the organization, and therefore the sales potential again becomes the deciding factor in choosing the middleman. Or the vice versa, the middleman, again, if the market is not good, so these people will not put up their money into, or they will not accept the products to sell it into the market. So it is both ways. The another important consideration for the middlemen are the cost. The manufacturer also consider the cost of selling through alternative channels. For example, a manufacturer may select even a high cost charging middleman who provides many services to the customers which are not provided by the others. So again, the cost becomes another factor where the manufacturer decides upon to have or to hire the services of the so wholesalers. Maybe they are charging a high commission charges, but because their facilities, because of their say their brand name into the market, so most of these middlemen again being hired for their services other than the movement of the goods from the point of manufacture to the point of consumption. And last here to discuss is the competition. Sometimes manufacturers are compelled to use the same channels which are being used by the competitors. So again, in pricing also, we know that when it comes to deciding upon the cost of the channel, because of the reputation of the channel members, and again important factor is the competition, and therefore the because of the competitiveness in the market, because of the this huge competition, the most of the companies, they maybe them not by choice but because of the market forces, they are compelled to hire the distribution channel which is being adopted by the competitors. So that's all in this section. In the next part two, I'll be discussing about the more on the distribution channels. Thank you so much.